Hello kids, Shubha Mangalam. This is Hemalata at Little Scholar High School taking up class 10th biology, and we are in lesson number 1, that is nutrition food supplying system, and it is on page number 8 children. Now in our previous class we have discussed about the various factors essential for the process of photosynthesis, like water and photosynthesis, air and photosynthesis, light and photosynthesis. And it was the scientist Ingenhousz who said that yes, light is one of the essential factor for the process of photosynthesis to go on, and evolution of oxygen is also taking place during the process of photosynthesis. And he confirmed that only green parts of the plants are able to perform the photosynthesis. And he was continuously working on this process of photosynthesis, and finally he said that it is the chlorophyll, the green substance or the green colored pigment. Yes, it is one which is essential for photosynthesis. But he could not give the then what happened here in Ingenhousz. Yes, he confirmed that chlorophyll is one of the substance required for photosynthesis. But there are various other questions which remained unanswered during his period. Like, if it is only the green parts of the plant which are preparing photosynthesis, then what about the new leaves or the tender leaves which are arising from the plant and which are reddish or yellowish in color, but not but still they are performing photosynthesis? Yes or no, children? And there are certain plants which do not have green colored leaves, but they are some other colored leaves. Then it was also said that then what about the animals or some like a parrot or grasshopper, even though they are green in color, then why they are not in a position to undergo the process of photosynthesis? All these questions were unanswered, and it stood like a challenge in front of the scientist. So what happened after somewhere around 6 decades, 4 decades later, around after 4 decades, the two scientists called as Pellitter and Keventer, after Ingenhousz, after 4 decades, two scientists Pellitter and Keventer said that it is the green color pigment chlorophyll only, and they were successful in extracting or obtaining the substance from the leaf. Understood, children? So what is the work done by the Pellitter and Keventer in the year 1817? They were successful in obtaining or extracting the green color pigment from the chlorophyll. Okay, children? But what happened? Pellitter and Keventer when said that the chlorophyll is scattered or it is present throughout the leaf. As per the Pellitter and Keventer, they said that chlorophyll is present throughout the leaf. Okay, but in the again after in the year 1883, Julius von Schaas, he said that yes, there is chlorophyll and it is present in a cell organelle. Okay, it is present in a cell organelle and it is not scattered in the entire leaf, but it is present somewhere in the center of the leaf. Okay, children. This is what given by Julius von Schaas in the year 1883. Like in your earlier classes you have studied about different organelles like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, plastids, nucleus and all. So they said that yes, chlorophyll is present in one of the cell organelle. Okay, children. Then now when they said that it is in the present, it is present in the center of the leaf. Now we shall see the structure of the leaf, that is we shall see learn about the TS of leaf. In the TS of leaf, it is we are just going through this topic to understand the structure of the leaf and moreover where the pigments are actually present and all. So when you look at the TS of the leaf, it is basically divided into different parts. Okay, and the first layer we call it as upper cuticle. The upper one is called as upper cuticle and the lower layer is called as lower cuticle. Okay, children. Now below the lower cuticle you have cells which are arranged in a regular fashion and we call them as upper epidermis, and the down ones we call them as lower epidermis. Fun, children? upper cuticle, lower cuticle, upper epidermis, lower epidermis. Then below the upper epidermis, we have certain cells which are arranged in a regular fashion. We have certain cells which are arranged in a regular fashion and in rows, and these cells we are calling them as palisade parenchyma. We are calling them as palisade parenchyma. Below the palisade parenchyma, we have certain other cells which are scattered in nature. They are not arranged in a regular fashion. They are scattered in nature. And the space between this cells we call them as A space, and the scattered cells we are calling them as spongy parenchyma. The cells below the palisade parenchyma which are not in organized manner, calling them as spongy parenchyma. In between the spongy parenchyma there are certain A spaces which we are calling them as A spaces. Done, children? Now when you look at the center of the leaf, there is a vascular tissue. Now we have learned that there are tissues of different kinds. Like we have meristematic tissue, dermal tissue, okay children, ground tissue and vascular tissue. So in the center you find the vascular tissue, and in vascular tissue you find xylem and you find phloem. Done, children? Now what is xylem and what is phloem? Xylem is the tissue which helps in the conduction of water in plants, okay, and phloem is the tissue which helps in the conduction of food, children. That means through xylem water is transported in the plant, and through phloem food is transported in the plant. These two put together we call it as vascular tissue. Then if you look at the bottom of the leaf or down portion of the leaf, you can see there are certain obstructions. Can you see the certain obstructions in the leaf? That means there are certain openings, and these openings we are calling them as stomata. We are calling these openings as a stomata, and they are protected, or they have the cells like called as guard cells. They are guard cells which help in the closing and opening of the stomata. Now what is the function of stomata then? Stomata helps in the exchange of gases within the leaf and within the external atmosphere, okay, and it also helps in the evaporation of water. It also helps in the evaporation of water. So two functions to be remembered when as far as stomata is concerned is it helps in the exchange of gases and it helps in the evaporation of the water from the plant. So this is the structure of the leaf, and we can also say that most of the chlorophyll, all the cell organelles containing the chlorophyll are mostly present in palisade parenchyma. Okay children, they are mostly present in palisade parenchyma, and all these cells together, right from cuticle to the stomata and all various palisade parenchyma, spongy parenchyma, we call all put together as mesophyll cells. Done, children? Now this is about the TS of the leaf, but the research was still going on, and now they said that the pigment is present in one of the cell organelle, and it was given by the scientist Daniel A. Arnon in the year 1954. He is the scientist who was successful in isolating the chloroplast from the plant. Now we said that chlorophyll is present in a cell organelle. So whenever the scientists are taking out the leaf and trying to find out the structure of the organelle, it is somehow getting damaged because it is so tender and it is very easy for the leaf to get damaged, and then many scientists were not successful in taking out the chloroplast from the leaf. But finally in the year 1954 Daniel A. Arnon was successful in isolating the chloroplast, and he could study the process of photosynthesis which is going on in the chloroplast. Okay children, so this is for the today's class. In the next class we shall go to the structure of the chloroplast. So just go through all these points. In the next class we'll go for the chloroplast. Thank you.